Kale walked through the corridors of Station 12 with purpose. Her silver armor caught the light as she moved, and other travelers stepped back to let her pass. She was Catherine, a member of the Silver Order, and everyone knew what that meant. Her face was sharp and angular, her eyes the color of ice. She carried a sword at her side, but the weapon was almost unnecessary. Kale herself was the weapon dot. She had taken a contract 3 days ago and fulfilled it yesterday. The payment was already transferred to her account. Now she was here to collect another job, if one was worth her time. Station 12 was neutral territory, owned by no faction and governed by loose laws that favored those strong enough to enforce their own rules. The station was crowded, as always. Humans, Catherines, and a dozen other species moved through the market districts, buying and selling goods. Kale ignored most of them. She had learned long ago that loyalty and friendship were chains. She worked alone. She trusted no one. She answered to no authority except her own survival. This code had made her valuable. It had also made her feared. When people looked at Kale, they did not see a friend. They saw a tool that could be rented, used, and discarded. Kale preferred it this way. She was walking toward the contracts office. When she heard the shouting, the sound came from Cargo Bay 7. Kale would have ignored it, but something in her training told her to check. Perhaps it was simple curiosity. Perhaps it was muscle memory from her days as a young knight. She changed direction and moved toward the bay. What she found made her stop. Human Man stood against the wall of his cargo bay. He was thin, weak-looking, with the soft features of someone who had never trained for combat. 3 other humans surrounded him, all of them larger and meaner. They wore the mark of the Syndicate, a criminal organization that operated in the shadows of Station 12. The cargo bay was full of medical supplies. Kale could see the containers clearly. She could read the labels even from a distance. Medicine. Expensive medicine. One of the Syndicate men held a pain rod, an illegal torture device banned on the station. He was pointing it at the merchant. "Give us the cargo, and you live," the man with the pain rod said. His voice was hard and flat. "Refuse, and we hurt you until you change your mind." The merchant shook his head. His hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. "No, this medicine is for my daughter. She is sick. I have nothing else." The Syndicate man laughed. He activated the pain rod. The weapon crackled with blue energy. Kale watched for a moment longer. Then she walked into the cargo bay. The 3 Syndicate men turned to look at her. When they saw the silver armor and the sword, they hesitated. But they did not back down. There were 3 of them and 1 of her, and they worked for an organization that had dealt with warriors before. "This is not your business, Catherine," the leader said. "Walk away and you stay safe." Kale did not walk away. Instead, she moved forward. "You are using an illegal weapon on station property," she said. Her voice had no emotion in it. "That violates Station Law Code 7. The merchant has the right to refuse sale of his property. You have no authority here." The leader laughed again. "We have 3 men and weapons. That is all the authority we need." Kale was moving before he finished speaking. She moved with speed that human eyes could barely track. Her sword came out of its sheath and struck the pain rod from the man's hand. The illegal weapon flew across the cargo bay and hit the wall with a sound like breaking glass. The leader grabbed his hand, blood dripping from where the blade had cut him. The other 2 men tried to attack her. One came from the left with a blade, another from the right with a pipe. Kale turned sideways, letting the blade pass over her shoulder. She kicked the man with the pipe backward into the wall. He fell hard. The first attacker came again. Kale caught his wrist, twisted it, and took his blade. In 3 seconds, the fight was over. All 3 men were on the ground, bleeding and hurt, but alive. Kale had not used excess force. She had only used the force required to stop them. The merchant stared at her with wide eyes. He was still shaking. "Thank you," he said. His voice was weak. "Thank you so much. I do not know how to repay you." Kale returned her sword to its sheath. She looked at the merchant. His name did not matter to her. His gratitude did not matter to her. What mattered was that the law had been broken, and she had stopped it. "You do not owe me anything," Kale said. "You will need to file a report with the station authorities. Tell them what happened. I will give a statement." She paused. These men violated station law. They used illegal weapons. The authorities will deal with them. The merchant nodded slowly. He seemed to want to say more, but Kale was already turning to leave. "Wait," the merchant said. "What is your name? I want to know the name of the person who saved me." Kale stopped. She did not want to give her name. Names created connections. Names meant people would remember you and seek you out again. But it was a fair question, and she had decided to stay neutral in this situation. The law had been broken. She had stopped it. "Kale," she said. "I am Kale of the Silver Order." The merchant's eyes widened. He had heard the name before. Everyone on Station 12 knew Kale's reputation. The warrior who never worked for anyone twice. The knight who swore loyalty to no one. The woman who walked alone and wanted to keep it that way. "I am Jack," the merchant said. He seemed to understand that she did not want conversation. "Thank you, Kale. You did not have to help me. You could have walked past. But you did not. Maybe you helped because it was right. Maybe you are not as cold as people say." Kale did not respond to this. She walked out of the cargo bay without looking back, but his words stayed with her. Maybe you helped because it was right. Kale had not thought about what was right in many years. She thought about profit, about efficiency, about survival. She did not think about right and wrong. Those were concepts for people who could afford to care about such things. But as she walked through the station corridors, back toward her quarters, she could not stop thinking about Jack's words. She had helped because the law was broken. She had helped because the syndicate men were using illegal weapons. She had helped because it was correct to do so. That was not the same as helping because it was right, or was it? Kale did not know. She had built a wall around her heart years ago, and she did not intend to let it crumble now. But a small crack had appeared. A small doubt had entered her mind, and that crack, though she did not know it yet, would grow. 3 weeks passed after Kale's encounter with Jack in the cargo bay. She had forgotten about the merchant, or so she told herself. She had taken 2 new contracts, completed them without issue, and continued her life the way she always had, alone, independent, free. Then Jack came to find her. He walked into the fighter bar where Kale was eating dinner. The place was rough and full of mercenaries and soldiers for hire. Jack looked completely out of place in his merchant clothes. Everyone noticed him walking across the bar toward Kale's table. She did not look up from her meal. "I need your help," Jack said. He did not sit down. He was brave or foolish. Kale had not decided which. "I do not take contracts from repeat employers," Kale said. It was one of her rules. She worked once for anyone, then never again. It kept things simple and prevented attachments. "This is not a simple job," Jack said. "I discovered something. Something dangerous. I need someone skilled. I need someone I can trust." Kale finally looked at him. "You cannot trust me. You can hire me." "That is different." Jack's face fell a little, but he did not leave. "I know, but after what you did in the cargo bay, I know you are skilled. I know you follow the law. Will you hear me out?" Against her better judgment, Kale told him to sit. Jack explained everything. 3 weeks ago, he had been delivering medicine to the station authority office. While waiting in a restricted corridor, he found a datapad on the ground. Someone had left it behind. When he picked it up to return it, he saw the messages on the screen. The messages were about selling information to the Morthic. The Morthic were an enemy species, hostile to both humans and Kethrans. They were trying to sabotage peace talks between the two species, and someone inside Station 12 Authority was helping them. "I have the datapad," Jack said. "But there is more evidence. Documents stored in the restricted command center. I need someone to help me get them." "Go to the authorities," Kale said. "I cannot," Jack replied. "I do not know who in the authority is involved. If I report it to the wrong person, they will kill me. I need proof first. Real proof. And I need someone who can fight if things go wrong." Kale should have said no. This was not a simple contract. This was dangerous. This could involve her in station politics and faction wars. This was the kind of thing that created complications. But she thought about Jack's words again. "Maybe you helped because it was right." "I will take the contract," she said. "But the payment must be high." Jack nodded and told her the amount. It was very high. It was more than he could probably afford, but he did not argue about the price. They met the next night outside the restricted sector. Jack had obtained temporary access codes by stealing them from a low-level administrator. It was risky and illegal, but it was the only way to get inside. The restricted sector was empty at night. Most of the staff left after the work shift ended. Jack and Kale moved through the corridors carefully, watching for security cameras and guards. Kale found that working with Jack was different than working with other employers. Most people were afraid of her. They gave her orders and stayed far away. Jack was not afraid. He moved beside her like a partner, not a fearful client. When she had to disable a camera, he watched her back. When she needed information about the layout of the building, he provided it without hesitation. "How did you know all this?" Kale asked as they moved through a corridor. "I was a soldier," Jack said quietly. "A long time ago, before the first became a merchant." Kale had not known this. It made sense now. Jack moved with the practiced grace of someone trained for combat. Even though he was not as skilled as warriors like her, they found the command center on the 3rd level. The door was locked, but Kale opened it using tools she carried. Inside, the computers held everything they needed. Documents about meeting the Morthic. Records of money transfers. Names of the officials involved. Video records of secret communications. Jack quickly copied everything onto a storage drive. They were halfway back through the corridors when the ceiling began to shake. Kale heard the grind and crack of metal. An alarm began to sound. The restricted sector had an automated defense system. Someone must have triggered it when they tried to break into the command center. "Go," Kale said, pushing Jack forward. "What about you?" Jack asked. "I will handle this. Move." Sections of the ceiling began to fall. Kale moved beneath one of the falling panels and caught it, holding it up just long enough for Jack to run past. The panel was heavy. It was pushing her down. She let it fall behind her and ran after Jack. But the corridor was collapsing everywhere now. Pieces of metal came down from above. The floor began to crack. Jack was ahead of her, running toward the exit. He was not a fast runner. He was slow. Kale would easily escape. Then Jack's foot caught on a piece of broken metal. He fell hard up the ceiling section above him was falling. It would crush him in seconds. Kale made a choice that went against everything she believed in. She threw herself forward, abandoning her own escape. She caught Jack and pulled him away from the falling metal. The panel came down exactly where he had been, raising a huge cloud of dust. Jack was alive because of her. She did not let herself think about this choice. She pulled him to his feet and ran. The corridor was a maze of falling debris now. Kale could have made it alone. She could have moved faster. But Jack was slower, and she kept pace with him, protecting him when pieces of metal came down. They reached the exit with seconds to spare. Alarms continued to sound as they ran through the station corridors toward the merchant district. Finally, far enough away, they stopped. Jack was bleeding from a cut on his arm. He was gasping for breath, but he was alive. "Thank you," he said. "You saved my life. You could have left me." Kale said nothing. She was disturbed by what she had done. She had risked her own survival for him. She had made a choice that was not logical. She had chosen his life over her own escape. This was not the behavior of someone who swore loyalty to no one. "I completed the contract," Kale said. Her voice was harder than usual, covering her strange feelings. "The payment." Jack looked at her with something like confusion. "Yes, of course. But Kale, you saved my life. You did not have to do that. You could have gotten out." "I completed the contract," she repeated. She was trying to convince herself more than him. Nothing more. But as she walked away from Jack that night, she knew it was not true. Something had changed. Something inside her that had been frozen for a very long time had begun to crack. And she did not know how to stop it. The data that Jack had stolen changed everything. It revealed that 4 high-ranking officials inside Station 12 Authority were working with the Morthic. They were selling information about human and Ketharan military movements. They were trying to start a war between the two species. But before Jack could bring the evidence to the honest officials, everything fell apart. Someone knew Jack had the data. Someone was hunting him. Kale learned about it when Jack appeared at her quarters door late at night. His face was bruised. He had been running and hiding. The corrupt officials had closed down his merchant business. They had frozen his accounts. They had sent agents to kill him. "I need your help," Jack said. He looked exhausted, desperate. Kale opened her door wider, but she did not invite him inside. "Offer me a contract. I will consider it." Jack's expression changed. The hope in his eyes became something else. Pain, maybe. Disappointment. "I cannot afford you," he said quietly. "Not now. Everything I had is gone. I am asking you as a friend, as someone who saved my life and who I saved too. I am asking you to help me because it is right." Kale felt something pull inside her chest. A sensation she did not like. A feeling that threatened to break the walls she had built. "I do not have friends," Kale said. "And I do not do things because they are right. I am a warrior. I take payment for work. That is all." Jack looked at her for a long time. His eyes were sad, but he did not argue. "I understand," he said. "I was wrong to ask. Good luck to you, Kale." He turned to leave. Kale did not stop him. She told herself she did not care what happened to Jack. He was nothing to her. She had done her work. She had taken her payment. Whatever came next was not her responsibility. But she watched him leave, and she did not feel free the way she usually did. She felt hollow. For 3 days, Kale tried to ignore what was happening. She tried to focus on her life. There was a new contract available, and she could take it. She could move on. Jack was not her responsibility. On the 4th day, the station became chaos. The Morthic attacked. They came in the night with soldiers and weapons. They did not come to negotiate. They came to destroy evidence and kill anyone who had seen the truth. Alarms sounded throughout Station 12. People ran through the corridors and panicked. Kale was in the market district when it happened. She saw the Morthic soldiers moving through the station, firing at anything that moved. They were hunting something, or someone. She realized who they were hunting. Against every rule she had ever made, against every code she had lived by, Kale began to run. She ran toward the shelter district where Jack would be hiding. She ran toward danger. She ran toward him. She found him in an underground warehouse with 4 other people. A human woman named Lisa, a human man named Marcus, a Catherine engineer named Vire, and a young human girl maybe 10 years old. The girl was Jack's daughter. Her name was Maya. Maya had her father's eyes. "Kale," Jack said, surprised to see her. He held his daughter close. "The Morthic are coming," Kale said. She took in the situation quickly. They had weapons, but they were not trained fighters. Lisa was a security officer. Marcus was a dock worker. VR was an engineer. None of them were soldiers. "How many are coming?" 12 soldiers, Noah said. His Catherine face was calm, but his hands shook slightly. "Maybe more. They are checking every building. 12 soldiers." The warehouse had 3 entrances. 5 untrained people, including a child. It was not enough. They would all die. Kale could leave. She could walk out and disappear into the chaos. No one would know. No one would care. "Stay back," Kale said. She took her sword from its sheath and moved to the main entrance. "When I tell you to run, you run to the back exit. Do not look back. Do not come back for me." "Kale, no," Jack said. "We can find another way." "There is no other way," Kale said. And she knew it was true. She knew Jack understood it too. The Morthic soldiers came through the door. Kale had fought the Morthic before. She knew their tactics. Their soldiers were stronger than humans, but they were not as quick as Catherine's. They relied on heavy weapons and armor. She moved like a storm through them. Her sword sang as it moved. She was faster than their weapons. She was stronger than their bodies. She was everything a warrior of the Silver Order could be. But there were 12 of them. And more kept coming. "Run!" she shouted at Jack. "Go." Jack grabbed his daughter and ran toward the back exit. Lisa and Marcus followed. Vior came last, looking back at Kale as she fought. Kale had taken down 8 soldiers when she felt the pain. A Morthic blade cut into her shoulder. The wound was deep. Blood poured down her arm that she could not fight much longer. Her arm was weakening. Her vision was getting blurry from blood loss. Then Jack appeared behind her. He was holding a plasma torch, a tool for cutting metal. He had come back. He had not run. He had come back for her. Jack activated the torch and aimed it at the nearest Morthic soldier. The heat drove them back. It was not a weapon meant for combat, but in his hands it became one. He burned the soldiers who tried to approach Kale. Together, they fought their way toward the back exit. Jack grabbed Kale's good arm and pulled her along. She was bleeding badly. She was losing strength. But Jack did not let her fall. He kept her moving. They reached the exit and ran into the service tunnels beneath the station. Behind them, alarms sounded. The Morthic soldiers pursued, but Jack knew the tunnels. He led them through twisting passages until finally they escaped into the lower docks. Safe. For now, Jack helped Kale sit down. Her shoulder wound was serious. It needed medical attention. "You came back," Kale said. Her voice was weak. "You would have died," Jack said. Simple words. True words. Kale looked at him. She saw a human who had risked his life for her. She saw a man who valued loyalty so much that he would die for someone who had rejected him. In that moment, Kale understood something. She had spent her whole life refusing to swear loyalty to anyone because she thought it was a cage. She thought it made her weak, but watching Jack face danger without hesitation, watching him risk everything for her, she realized the truth. Loyalty was not weakness. It was the strongest thing a person could do. Kale reached out her good hand and took Jack's hand. Her voice was steady now, though pain still burned through her shoulder. "Jack," she said, "I will take no other contract. I will serve no other person. I swear this before the spirits of my ancestors, and by the honor of the Silver Order. I choose you. I choose to stand with you, to fight with you, and to protect you and everyone you care about until my last breath. This I swear. It was the traditional Catherine oath, the oath of loyalty, the oath that bound a warrior to a person forever. Jack's eyes filled with tears. Kale, you do not have to do this. I choose to, Kale said. That is what makes it real. And in that moment, the warrior who swore loyalty to no one finally understood what it meant to belong to someone. Finally understood what it meant to choose something greater than her own freedom. Finally understood what it meant to have a home. Asterisk. The Silver Order sent a delegation to Station 12 1 week after the battle in the warehouse. They came to speak with Kale. They came to demand an explanation. Kale met them in a formal chamber. 3 high-ranking knights sat across from her, their faces hard and judgmental. She stood before them, wounded and exhausted, but still dignified. You swore an oath to the Silver Order, the lead knight said. His name was Commander Thorn. He had trained Kale when she was young. You swore to answer only to the code, to remain separate, to stay free. I have broken that oath, Kale said. She did not try to hide this. I chose loyalty to an individual instead. The knights exchanged looks. It was clear they had expected her to defend herself, to make excuses. Her simple admission seemed to anger them more. The Silver Order has no place for broken oaths, Commander Thorn said. Your rank is stripped. Your title is removed. You are no longer a member of the Silver Order. You are no longer a knight. Kale felt the weight of those words. Everything she had been for her entire adult life was gone. She had no title, no organization, no family. She was completely alone, except she was not alone anymore. Jack was waiting for her outside the chamber. When he saw her face, he knew what had happened. The Order rejected you? He asked. Yes, Kale said. Her voice was steady, but something inside her was breaking. I am no longer a knight. I am nothing. Jack took her hand. You are everything. You are the person who saved me. You are the person who swore to protect my family. You are stronger and more important to me than any order could ever make you. But that night, alone in the small quarters that Jack had found for them, Kale fell apart. She had sacrificed everything. Her rank, her title, her organization, her people. She had chosen Jack and his daughter, 2 humans she barely knew. What if she had made a mistake? What if Jack could not possibly be worth all that she had lost? The doubt consumed her. She considered leaving. She could disappear into the station and take contracts again. She could rebuild her life as a mercenary. She could be free again. But she did not leave. Instead, the next morning, Jack introduced her to Maya. The girl had been terrified of Kale at first. She was 10 years old and had never been close to a Catherine before. Catherines were alien. Catherine warriors were nightmares in human children's stories. But Jack began to show Kale and Maya how to spend time together. They ate meals as a family. Jack told stories about his time as a soldier. Maya asked Kale questions about the stars and about Catherine culture. Slowly, Maya stopped being afraid. One day, Maya sat next to Kale while Jack was working in the market. My father says you are the strongest person he knows, Maya said. Your father is kind, Kale replied. Strength is not as important as kindness. Maya thought about this. I was scared of you at first, because you are Catherine, because you are big and carry a sword. But now I see that you are sad sometimes. And when you are sad, my father holds your hand. And then you are not sad anymore. Kale did not know how to respond to this. A child's observation. A truth that cut through all her doubts. Yes, Kale said finally. Your father helps me. I want to be like you, Maya said. When I grow up, I want to be strong and protect people. Will you teach me? Kale had never taught anyone anything. She had never thought of the future beyond the next day. But looking at Maya's face, she realized that she wanted to. She wanted to be the kind of person that a child looked up to. Yes, she said. I will teach you. When you are old enough to train, I will teach you everything I know. 2 weeks after this, danger came again. A representative of the Silver Order came to Jack's home. His name was Knight Cedron. He carried a message from Commander Thorn. Kale, Cedron said, the Order gives you one chance to restore your honor. There is a Morthak commander hiding on the station. Kill him, bring proof, and you will be reinstated. You will be a knight again. You will have your title back. Kale's heart jumped at these words. To be a knight again. To have her place back. To be part of something larger than herself. But then she looked at Jack. He was holding Maya. His daughter was sleeping against his chest. The Morthic commander, Kale said slowly. Where is he? He is hiding in this district, Cedron said. In a house 2 blocks away. He has Jack's daughter's school as his secondary target. Kill him, and you end the threat. Kill him, and you can be what you were meant to be. It was a test. Kale understood this. The Order was testing whether her loyalty to Jack was real or just temporary weakness. They were offering her a choice. Become a knight again, or stay human. Choose the Order, or choose Jack. Kale stood up. Her hand went to her sword. I refuse, she said. Cedron stared at her. You refuse? You would give up everything to remain with a human? I would give up more, Kale said. Jack is my loyalty now. His family is my family. If protecting them means staying stripped of rank, then I stay stripped of rank. If it means fighting the entire Silver Order, I will do that too. Jack's eyes widened with tears. Cedron's face went hard. You have chosen your path. Cannot come back to us, Kale. You are dead to the Silver Order now. He turned and left. Kale could have called him back. She could have changed her mind. She could have gone back to being what she was. She did nothing. She sat down and pulled Jack and Maya close to her. Jack began to cry. Maya woke up and asked what was happening. Everything is okay, Kale said. She held them both. I am here. I will always be here. Weeks passed. The evidence that Jack had gathered was given to the honest officials on the station. They arrested the corrupt leaders and contacted the Morthic leadership. Peace talks began. Not because the war was won, but because both sides realized the corruption. Both sides wanted to stop the sabotage. On the day the treaty was signed, Jack brought Kale and Maya to the signing ceremony. The human representatives and Catherine representatives gathered in the Grand Hall of Station 12. Kale stood at the back. No longer a knight, just a warrior. Just a woman who had given up everything for loyalty. But as she watched the treaty being signed, as she saw peace come because of the evidence that she and Jack had gathered, she understood something important. She had lost a title and a rank, but she had gained a family, a purpose, a reason to do more than just survive. She had gained a home, and that was worth infinitely more than any title that Silver Order could give her. 3 months after the peace treaty was signed, change began to spread through the Catherine communities. It was slow at first, barely noticeable, but it was real. Young Catherines started asking questions about the old code. Questions about whether isolation truly made them strong. Questions about whether loyalty to one person was weakness or the greatest strength of all. Kale's story, the story of a knight who chose a human family over the Silver Order, began to spread. Jack and Kale were appointed to a joint commission. Their job was to maintain peace between humans and Catherines and to build cooperation between the two species. It was work that mattered. Real work that changed lives every day. But not everyone welcomed the new ideas. There was a faction of hardline Catherines who saw Kale as a traitor. They believed that Kale's choice had weakened Catherine culture. They believed that humans could not be trusted. They believed that the old code of isolation and non-involvement was the only way to survive. Their leader was a knight named Voss. He had trained in the Silver Order at the same time as Kale. He was strong and respected, and he hated what Kale had become. Voss challenged Kale publicly in the market district of Station 12 in front of hundreds of people. "You bring dishonor to our people," Voss said. His voice was loud and carried through the marketplace. "You swore loyalty to a human. You gave up your rank, your title, your position. You show other Catherines a path of weakness." The crowd was silent. Everyone knew what would happen next. Either Kale would fight Voss and prove her strength, or she would back down and prove that she was indeed weak. Kale stepped forward, but she did not draw her sword. "I am weak if you measure strength by isolation," Kale said. Her voice was calm. "But I am stronger now than I ever was as a knight of the Silver Order." Voss laughed. "You think you are strong because you have a human family? That is pathetic." "I think I'm strong because I choose to stand with people," Kale said. "Because I choose to believe in something beyond myself. I think I'm strong because I can do something that takes real courage. I can love." The words hung in the air. It was not the kind of speech that Catherines usually made. Catherines did not speak about love. They did not speak about choosing people over codes. "You are no longer Catherine," Voss said. His hand moved to his sword. "I am exactly what a Catherine should be," Kale replied. "A protector, a keeper of honor, a warrior who stands against darkness. The only difference is that now I understand what honor really means. It means protecting those who depend on you. It means building something instead of tearing it down. It means trusting others enough to let them matter to you." She looked around at the crowd. Her eyes moved from face to face, Catherine and human both. "My story is not a story of weakness," Kale said. "It is a story of strength. I gave up everything to stand with Jack, and because I did, the conspiracy against both our peoples was exposed. Because I chose loyalty, peace came. Because I chose to trust, thousands of lives were saved." A human woman stepped forward from the crowd. It was Lisa, the security officer who had been in the warehouse with them. "I was there," Lisa said. "I saw what Kale did. She fought for us. She bled for us. And she fought not because it was a contract. She fought because she had chosen to care about us." Then Marcus came forward. "I was there too. She saved our lives." More people began to speak. Some Catherine, some human. All of them telling stories of how Kale had protected them, how she had defended them, how her loyalty had meant something real. And slowly, the crowd began to shift. Not all of them, but many. They began to see that Kale's choice had not weakened her. It had made her into something greater. Voss looked at the crowd, and something changed in his expression. Not agreement, but understanding. Understanding that his challenge had failed, that the people would not turn against Kale. He walked away without fighting. His movement through the crowd was stiff and angry, but he was gone. In the weeks that followed, Kale became more than a warrior. She became a teacher. Young Catherines came to her asking about loyalty, asking about what it meant to choose people over codes, asking about whether the old ways were truly the best ways. Kale did not tell them to abandon the Silver Order. She told them to find their own truth. She told them to be brave enough to choose what they believed in, even if it meant standing alone. Loyalty to a person is not the opposite of loyalty to your people, Kale told them. It is the foundation. If you can trust one person completely, then you can build trust with others. You can create communities instead of isolation. Jack worked beside her in all of this. He brought human perspectives to the conversations. He showed young Catherines that humans were not so different from Catherines, that they wanted the same things: family, safety, purpose. And slowly, the wall between the two species began to crumble. 2 years after the treaty was signed, Maya was ready to begin her training as a warrior. She was 12 years old now, old enough to learn. Kale had promised to teach her, and she kept that promise. They stood in the training hall on Station 12. Jack was there watching. Other Catherines and humans were there too. All of them had come to see Maya begin her training. Kale knelt before Maya. It was the same gesture that Kale had made to Jack years before. The gesture of swearing loyalty. But this time, it was different. This time, Kale was not swearing to serve. She was recognizing Maya as a warrior. "Do you swear to protect the weak?" Kale asked. "I do," Maya said. Her voice was steady and strong. "Do you swear to stand against darkness?" "I do." "Do you swear to believe that loyalty is strength, not weakness?" "I do," Maya said. And then she added her own words. "And I swear that I will stand with my father, and with you, and with all people who choose to be good." Kale rose to her feet and took Maya's hand. "Then you are ready," she said. The crowd applauded. Both humans and Catherines stood together, united by something that neither species had understood before. Jack approached and put his hand on Kale's shoulder. Kale turned to him and did something she never thought she would do. She smiled. A real smile with real warmth. "I was once a knight who swore loyalty to no one," Kale said. "I believed that isolation was strength. I believed that connections were chains." She looked at Jack, then at Maya, then at the crowd of humans and Catherines standing together. "I was wrong," Kale said. "The greatest strength is the choice to stand with someone. The greatest freedom is the choice to belong somewhere. The greatest honor is the choice to let yourself matter to others, and to let others matter to you." She knelt again, but this time she looked up at all of them. "I am Kale," she said. "Once a knight of the Silver Order. Now the loyal sworn protector of Jack and Maya. Now a teacher to those who wish to learn a new way. Now a bridge between two peoples who are learning to trust each other." She stood up. "And I'm happy," she said simply. It was a small word. A word that a warrior should not care about. But it meant everything. Because Kale had learned that loyalty to one person connected her to everyone that person cared about. Her sacrifice had not limited her world. It had expanded it. She had given up her chain of command and her rank. She had given up the support of the Silver Order. She had given up her freedom, and in exchange, she had gained a family, a purpose, a home. She had gained everything that mattered. The warrior who swore loyalty to no one had finally found what she was looking for. Not power or rank or recognition. She had found someone worth choosing, someone worth standing beside, someone worth believing in. And in that choice, she had discovered the greatest strength of all. Not the strength of the sword, the strength of the heart, the strength of loyalty freely given, the strength of trust, the strength of love. Kale stood beside Jack and Maya in the center of the training hall. Around them, humans and Catherines celebrated together. The old walls were falling. The old codes were changing, and it had all started with one choice. One warrior. One moment when Kale decided that maybe, just maybe, helping someone because it was right was worth the cost of everything else. It was. And Kale, the knight who swore loyalty to no one, finally understood what it meant to be truly free.